In this tutorial video, we're going to see how to use variables in Java. Variables in Java are exactly like variables in mathematics. Now, for those of you who don't know what a variable in mathematics is, it's basically an element that stocks a value. So, for instance, in mathematics, you would tend to have a variable named x, and to that variable you would assign a value, let's say 45 for example. And then when you would do a calculation and you would arrive to x, you would know that x takes on the value of 45. So it's pretty much the same principle in Java, but before you can actually use variables in Java, you have to determine which type of variables you need to use for your program. So this is a list of the available types of variables in Java. So we're going to start by the first one, which is called byte. Now, byte must have a value between minus 128 to 127. It also must be a whole number. Now, I emphasize on the fact that it must be a whole number because, as you'll see shortly, there is a distinction between whole numbers and decimal numbers in the Java language. So byte must have a value of minus 128 to 127, and it must be a whole number. So in the example here, this is what it would look like as code in Eclipse. You have the name of the type of variable here, followed by the name of the variable that we have named temperature for this example, equals, which is the assignment operator, 64. So the variable temperature is equal to 64, and 64 is between the range here, so that's correct. Now, these first four types of variables are pretty similar. They just the only distinction between them is in their range. So, for example, if I wanted to use a variable that had a very big value, I would use this type of variable, long. And as you can see, it ranges from this enormous negative number to this enormous positive number. So that's the type of variable I would use for a very, very big number. If I wanted to use a very small value as a variable, I would use the byte type. So this is where it changes when we arrive to the float variable, which is a decimal number. As you can see, it ranges from this number to this. This is how it is represented, 2.0, and it has a little f at the end, which is obligatory. If you don't add the f at the end, the value won't be saved properly, or it won't be interpreted properly. Then we arrive to the next type of variable, which is double, which is also a decimal number, which ranges from this number to this. Now, the difference between these two types of variables is double is used for decimal numbers that are quite long, whereas the float type is used for decimal numbers that are quite small. So this is how the double variable would be represented. So 0.33334. So as you can see, it's a long decimal number, and you'll notice that it doesn't have any letter at the end. That's only for the float type. The next type of variable is char, which stands for characters. So it basically means that your variable, the value of your variable, can take on a character. So as you can see, we've named it A, and notice also that A is between two quotes. So the syntax is very, very important here. If you don't have the quotes, again, the value won't be interpreted or saved properly. And now we arrive at the last type of variable, which is Boolean. This takes on two values, true or false. That's pretty simple, as you can see. Either the value is true or false. So these are all the types of values types of variables, possible in Java. In the next step, I'm going to show you how to apply these types of variables. So meet me in the next step. So now that we've seen all the different types of variables, let's try to apply one of them to our program. So in this example, let's say I wanted to create a variable named x, and I wanted x to have a value of 2. So let's go back to our list of types of variables here. Now 2 is a whole number, so I can already choose one of these 4 types of variables. So I'm going to choose int, just because I feel like choosing int. Again, I can choose any one of them. So let's go back to Eclipse and let's type int x semicolon. Again, int is the name of the type of variable, x is the name of the variable. Now let's assign a value to x. So x equals, remember equals is the assignment operator, 2. So now we've created our variable and we've assigned a value to it. So let's try and display it now by typing system.out.print I have, and then again system.out.print, and then simply type the variable between the parentheses. And now what this should do is print the sentence I have x. And what is x? X has the value of 2, so it should display I have 2. It doesn't really matter if the sentence doesn't mean anything, that's what it should display. So let's test that by clicking on run. And as you can see, it correctly displays the sentence I have 2.